Buffalo's defense led the way in a big victory over the Colts tonight. 30-20 is your final score. Welcome into Bills Postgame Live. He's Steve Tasker. I'm Maddy Glab. We're presented by Paramount Plus. The Bills defense had 4 takeaways in this one, Steve. They were aggressive. They weren't afraid to get after Colts quarterback Joe Flacco. What allowed the defense to take over in this one?
Well, one of the problems is with the Colts making the switch at quarterback. Joe Flacco is not very mobile. The defense knew where he was going to be all day. If they could get there, they were going to disrupt him. They did it on numerous occasions, but they also knew this: if he didn't hand it off, it was going to come out of there. They jumped some routes. Taron Johnson fell underneath the first play from scrimmage. Flacco underthrew it by a hair. Taron Johnson took it back and then had the presence of mind. It looked like he was just going to be satisfied with the pick. Not so much. Turned it into a touchdown on the first offensive play of the game, and it was on. You knew it was going to be a good day for the defense as soon as that happened. We didn't know it was going to turn into 4 takeaways.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. Taron Johnson is your first Buffalo Bill defensive back with an interception and a sack in the same game. He almost had more than one. His hands were all over the football tonight. We're going to get it started with some offense. QB1 Josh Allen at the podium right now.
To get this thing done with a depleted lineup.
Yeah, I mean, again, guys stepping up, knowing their job, knowing their assignment, and going out there and executing. Can be cleaner. That's me. So again, just making sure we're communicating well, and just trying to hold on to the football, and we got to play better on offense.
How big was that drive at the end that put it away? Because I mean, it was still a game at the end.
Yeah, that was awesome. And we always talk about ending the game on our terms, and having the ball. I don't know. There's probably 7-8 minutes left. I'm not really quite sure. But going down there and getting 6 the way we did it, it was a long, grueling drive, and got a lot of guys that just gritted it out. And guys are hurt, playing through injuries. So I'm proud of our guys.
8-2 now, best start of your career, best start under Coach McDermott, best start for the Bills since 1993. After all the talk this offseason, what's the feeling being at this point at 8-2?
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome to get to 8 wins through 10 games. Still got a lot of season left, so we're not really looking at it as that. It's just really on to the next one.
Hey, Josh, 2 passes, 44 to Hollins, end of first half. When you're scrambling, when did you see him?
Saw him late. Saw a linebacker kind of underneath him and put one in the air for a little bit. He said that window, the sun was kind of peeking through, so he couldn't really see it. So I'm just glad that he was able to secure it. Got out of bounds, and getting points before half was really big for us. So, yeah, very proud of our guys for that 2-minute drill.
Then the slip screen that Shakir that got 30. When you watch him,
yeah, that was the biggest. I went up to him and said, that's the biggest play of the game, 3rd and 8. We understood what type of pressure that they were going to bring there, had an alert on it. We saw it. We alerted it, and guys went out there and made some plays. But, again, his contact balance running through would-be tacklers and, staying on his feet, he's very elite at that, and we needed that right there.
Go ahead, son. You were without Kincaid for some, obviously, the receivers. Did you have to manage frustration, or did you have to be more patient today because guys just hadn't been out there as much?
No, just trusting the play calls, trusting the guys that were in there, and just trying to run our offense to the best of my ability. And again, I don't feel like I did that today. Wish I had a couple throws back, especially early on, but we'll take 8-2.
We were up in the press box. We were wondering a little bit why you guys weren't running the ball a little bit more, given the receiver situation. It felt like a game where you could have got James and Ray. What you guys were insistent on passing. Can you maybe explain a little bit of that?
I just think just understanding what type of defense they play. They got a pretty good defensive line. We'd love to run it and get a bunch of yards, and we'd love to throw it and get a bunch of yards. So it's just kind of the flow of the game and just trusting what Joe's calling.
Hey, Josh, you obviously are aware of what's next week. 9-0 Kansas City against you guys. What kind of measuring stick will that be for where you guys are at?
It'll be week 11. Again, we're just going to try to put our best foot forward, have a good week of practice, and try to win a football game against a really good football team. It's the biggest one because it's the next one. Thanks, guys.
Hey Bills fans, Paramount Plus is your home to stream live local NFL on CBS games every Sunday all season long, right through the AFC Championship games. So sign up and sign in to Paramount Plus today. Josh Allen speaking to the media right there. He finished the game with 2 interceptions, a 60 passer rating. We haven't seen Allen throw 2 interceptions all season. He went into the game with just 2 interceptions in 9 games this season, has 2 against the Colts. Steve, what did you make of the way that he managed the game? They still finished with 30 points, but some of those interceptions a little bit tough.
Despite the fast start they got defensively, the Bill, I didn't think Josh was throwing it as smooth as he had early. He missed Kincaid on the long touchdown in the first half, which ended up not getting any points out of that on a short field when they got the ball, drove it down. Kincaid was wide open. He just overthrew him. They came away going for it on a 4th down, didn't get it when Curtis Samuel was defended on the pass. That was a huge turning point in the first half. But as the game wore on, Josh got better and better and started throwing it a little better. And certainly the turnovers were the big difference in this. The defense really came through. And we thought this might be a defensive battle going in for the Bills. Defense to kind of flex, and they did. The offense got better as the game went along, and the defense was good from start to finish.
The Colts were only averaging about 20 points per game heading into this game. So you were thinking, like you said, the defense can step up. The defense can really make a statement in this game in lieu of Buffalo's offense being down some pretty big names in wide receivers Amari Cooper and Keon Coleman. So you're thinking, I'm going to need help from the defense today. They were able to get help from the defense, and they also had other players on offense step up in the absence of those two
winning
guys.
a game with the roster they had available to them on the offensive side of the ball is really huge for this team. I thought giving Cooper a day off, Coleman a week off, Kincaid they lost during the game, which is kind of a concern for me going forward. But to be able to manage a 30-point outing, actually it's about a 23-point outing because the defense got a score, and win this football game, I think was huge for this club. I think the defense, 4 sacks, 3 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, and they recovered one of those fumbles as well. Josh had 2 interceptions, no TDs throwing today, but his ability to run it, the big numbers they put up offensively, running the football and moving the football during the game, over 400 yards of offense. They were in control of this game, and their margin of error was so wide in this game, they didn't even need all of the bad stuff that happened to them to win the game. It was they were really good. They weren't great today, but they were by far good enough to win this game.
Didn't let the missed opportunities get in the way of winning this game. And you win in different ways. This was a different way that Buffalo won tonight. It was about the defense and then the drive that the defense and the offense had going into the second half was great to get points on the scoreboard right there. Taron Johnson was the defensive player of the game. He was all over the field. Johnson was on the podium after this one.
For sure.
What happened on the floor? Because it looked like he never saw it.
I'm not sure what he was saying, but I've seen that play before, you know what I'm saying, against a different team, and I played it differently. I mean, we was in a different call too, but in the game I seen it, I played it differently, and I felt like they were expecting me to play it a different way, and I took the ball. And after that, I just scanned the field and took it to the house. Oh, a great block. Yeah. I keep forgetting that I saw that. But, yeah, he had a great block for sure.
Knowing the offense was a bit depleted today, coming away with 4 takeaways, how gratifying is that?
It's huge. I know we're banged up on offense, but you know what I'm saying? Defense came out, and especially in that second half, we made a lot of plays, and I feel like that helped us win for sure.
Taron, does it feel like when they start to come, they come in bunches? I know that you guys have kind of always preached that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would like to think that way, but I mean, you just never know when your opportunity is going to come. So, just making sure that I'm doing everything I can throughout the week to make the play when my opportunity comes.
On the run defense, first half, it was a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
They were gashing you pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, they had to go away from them a little bit in the second half.
Yeah.
But also, you stopped them in the second half too early. What was some of the turnaround there?
I just feel like execution. They threw some things that we really hadn't seen before, and when they tried to come back to it, I feel like we did a good job adjusting and executing.
Taron, just defensively, obviously you guys making a play early on. When you have a play that early, does it change the day? Does it change kind of the way, not your mindset is, but is it like, hey, we can make these plays?
I'll speak for myself. Obviously, yeah, definitely we can make those plays, but at the same time, when it happens that early, I'm like, okay, on to the next play. Because, I mean, that was the first play of the game. So I'm like, I still got a whole game to play. So my mindset was just focused on the next play.
The Bills are down 2 important defensive linemen in Dwan Smoot and Dwayne Carter, both on IR. So with that, you need guys to step up on defense. Taron Johnson, our nickel cornerback, was a huge factor in this one on the first drive of the Colts' offensive possession. He gets a pick 6. Johnson is a physical nickel cornerback. He's always in the right place at the right time. He can stop the run. This was his 3rd pick 6 of his career. Why is Johnson such an important player in a game like this?
Well, he does a couple of things. One, he knows what he's doing out there, and he's gifted physically. The other thing that sets him apart, he plays with anticipation and great preparation. And with aggression. He's very good in the run game, so they can leave him on the field for more snaps. He gets a lot of looks at the offense. He has plenty of chances to get into a rhythm and get a feel for it. Now, I mean, there's no rhythm in this. It's the first play from scrimmage. You guys all over it. That lets you know that, hey, he was ready to come out. And plus, he has no fear of going for a play. Dropping underneath this route, keeping his eyes on the quarterback and pulling it down, and then having the poise to try and get into the end zone. Most guys comes up, you've seen them, a lot of guys will catch it, and they don't know what's going to happen, and so they'll just make sure they end up with the ball, and they'll fall forward get what yardage is there and fall away. Taron went for it. That kind of attitude doesn't always pay off, but when you've got it and you go for it, and it does pay off, it's huge. To start that game, 7, they spotted the Bills a touchdown.
I know.
Thanks to Taron.
Johnson says, I want to be the best nickel cornerback in the NFL. And watching him play games like this, he's proving, yes, I am the best nickel cornerback in the NFL. You hear coaches say a lot, if you're going to make a move on a play, if you're going to jump a route, you better be getting your hands on the football. You better get that interception. But with Johnson, it doesn't seem like it's boom or bust. He has the IQ, he has the smarts, and it's from the film study that he does during the week leading up to the game that shows on game day, I'm not making out of line plays. Right. I'm doing what I saw when watching tape, and it works out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this game, the Bills started to get a real handle on what Indianapolis was doing and started to feel better. You look at the first half, Josh was 13-23. It's just a little above 50%, almost 60% of his passes. In the second half, he was 9-14. Much higher percentage, and they only threw it 14 times in the second half. They were very confident in their ability to get first downs by running the football. I wrote this down at one point after the Flacco sack on 4th down. First down, 1st and 10. The Bills are they got the lead. Here we go, and they snap off a 14-yard first down run to James Cook. 14 yards right out of the gate. They follow that up on 1st and 10 again, 9 yards on the next running play. The Bills really started to feel it and started to put their foot on the gas physically. And the Colts, after losing it on 4th down, the Bills were smart because it sucks the life out of a defense's emotion in the game. And the Bills took full advantage of it. They kind of knew it, said let's push them around a little bit, and they got 2 runs for almost 25 yards out of the gate after that sack. The second half, the Bills were in total control of this game. And the numbers bear out not only that they were, but their coaching staff knew it, and they called the game accordingly.
The Bills went into halftime 20-13 thanks to that final last-second field goal that Tyler Bass had as time expired in the second quarter. It's now time for this week's Player Spotlight. It's presented by Microsoft Surface. Microsoft Surface is the official tablet and sideline technology of the Buffalo Bills. We're spotlighting wide receiver Mack Hollins for his night. He had 4 targets, 4 catches, 86 receiving yards. Half of those receiving yards came on that huge play on 3rd down. It was a 44-yard reception by Hollins. Why is he worth shouting out tonight, Steve?
Well, think about the wide receiver room. They needed Mack Hollins to be good. It was absolutely critical for him. Amari Cooper not in the game, Keon Coleman not in the game, and Mack Hollins comes out and just makes a fantastic play, heads up to stand back up and get out of bounds to stop the clock. That was it. The half was going to be over if he doesn't get back up and get out of bounds. And then right before halftime, this play that set them up for the field goal attempt 2 plays later. Absolutely fantastic for Boy, that was the wrong play. That was a different play. But yeah, they needed Mack Hollins to be good. And just less than a handful of plays that he made, all were critical in the Bills' ability to put this game away. You can't say enough about what it does for a team's atmosphere and their cohesion when you got guys who haven't been called upon that much. Now, Mack Hollins has been on the squad. He's been covering kicks. He'll get a play here, a play there. They leave him in the game to block on running plays. Target him maybe 2 times a game, maybe. To come in on a game where you got your top 2 wide receivers out and to have him step up and make crucial plays down the stretch, man, the whole team's level of confidence just raises. You know, a guy steps into a void in your locker room and fills it like he did today. It's huge for the morale of the club going forward. And I don't know if you heard about this. There's kind of a big game coming up this next week.
Oh, yeah?
So the Bills should feel really good about their ability to have guys step up and play their role.
Hollins is the guy who doesn't wear shoes around the facility, outside. He has a huge attitude in the best way on the practice field. He's jawing at guys. He's getting the offense into practice. And Josh Allen says, you know, Hollins is kind of the heartbeat of this offense. He's not your star player, but it's really nice to see a guy like this when his name is called to answer and have 4 catches on 4 targets for 86 receiving yards. Hollins is a guy who is targeted a few times a game in previous weeks, and it's nice to see him be not the focal point, but have a big role in the offense tonight and show, hey, I can do it here.
To come through when they need you to in a game like this, yeah, that's a huge boost for Mack Hollins and the offense and everybody's attitude about how ready they have to be. Huge boost today for Mack Hollins. He helped Josh Allen on a day when they weren't their best. They still rung up 425 yards. Josh completed just shy of 60% of his passes, or right at 60% of his passes. And, you know, it wasn't a spectacular day for Josh. A couple of the plays he made were on his legs, but moving around and finding Hollins deep shows the trust they have in him, shows that Hollins was ready for his moment.
Josh rushed in for 1 touchdown today. James Cook has 80 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown. In a game like this against the Colts went into this game as one of the worst run defenses in the NFL. Part of that is because DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart were injured throughout the season, and when those two aren't playing at the same time, their run defense does kind of fall off, but both were in the lineup today. Did you notice Buffalo going to the run later than you thought they would have? Did the Colts defense do a good job of taking that away from Buffalo at the start of the game?
I still think Buffalo, for most fans, Buffalo still runs it a little too often.
Okay.
Particularly on first down. And like I said, though, you get in there, and when they do snap off a big run on a first down, it makes it all worth it. Particularly on a day where they were 7 for 14 on third down, and those third down conversions, the important ones, they were not 50% up until deep into the second half, and then they started doing it and it started converting. It started getting easier to convert the third downs late, and because of that, it really felt like they were in control of the game when they needed to be. And I think there's no question the Colts defense is the strength of their team right now. And the Bills being able to hang 23 points offensively on them, plus just missing another touchdown, getting stopped on a 4th down in their end, when really it made it look like they were not as in control as they were. Statistically, on the scoreboard wise, the Bills offense was, I thought, flexed today on the Colt defense. And it's not that fun for fans to come out there and having everybody say, yeah, they're going to run it on this first down, and they do. It's a little more fun when it's 2nd and 4.
Indy's defense went into this game allowing 21 points per game. The Bills score 30 on the Colts today. The Bills are now 8-2 for the first time since 1993. The first time in Josh Allen's career as a quarterback. Steve, you were a part of that team. What does it mean to be 8-2 for the first time since 1993? You were a part of those heydays.
It's awesome. I mean, there's no question about it. You got to be a really good football team, and they have found multiple ways to win. The defense did it today, no question about it. They set the tone today. We've had teams where the running game did it, where the passing game did it. They have won games in a multitude of ways this season, and it's really important when you do that. But as there are some other teams in the league who are playing really well, the Chiefs won again today. The Detroit Lions are playing at a high level. Mm-hmm. It's never about the 8-2. It's about the next one, and you got to find a way to win. You always think about it as you're really good teams. Don't ever think about the games they just played or whether they learn from it and they do all that. But it's never about the big picture. It's about today and how we're getting ready to get better tomorrow as well. And I think that's where this Bills football team is. They've got their heads down and they are grinding. And today was a grinded out win by 10 points in a game they controlled throughout. And really the second half was all about, to me, was all about how much they're going to win by. The last touchdown that the Colts hung on the board was meaningless. And, I mean, the touchdown was scored against Codrington, the punt kickoff returner. I mean, that's where the Bills' defense was at that point. They were like, they had fully pulled in all the sails and said, this is more about the clock than it is the scoreboard. So, yeah, that's where this team is. And I thought it was a very grinded-out, workman-like performance on a game that they won handily.
They weren't wallowing in the injuries that they had. You're down players on defense, 2 defensive linemen for multiple weeks. You have guys step up like nickel cornerback Taron Johnson. Defensive lineman Quentin Jefferson, who was just added to the roster this week, has a sack in this game. And then on offense, no wide receivers, Amari Cooper or Keon Coleman. Tight end Dalton Kincaid comes out of this game, and you get to lean on a wide receiver in Mack Hollins and Khalil Shakir, and running back James Cook has 80 yards and a rushing touchdown. Every week it's about finding out how can we win this game with what we have on our roster right now, and they did it against the Colts.
Yeah, and I'll say this too. You just mentioned all the injuries they're dealing with. Even if early on it was the defensive side of the ball. Now it seems to be the offensive wide receivers and stuff. They got a little rash of injury, and there's no doubt to me they were taking it easy on those guys, thinking, okay, we should have enough in the cupboard to beat the Indianapolis Colts if we play well with the guys we've got left on our roster, even if we be ultra cautious with the injuries. And they did it. We have yet to see the Bills hit on all cylinders and play their best. We have yet to see it. But they're getting close. They're ascending even with backup players, with top players injured. They still seem to be climbing and ascending production-wise and in their range of guys who are helping them production-wise. The run game, the pass game, defensively, the rush and the back end of the defense. Every part of the team seems to be climbing at an incremental level. And if they get to a point, we don't need it now. This week we may to win, but they're going to get in a play. I mean, there ain't no stopping them now. Get to the tournament, and then is when you really need to unfurl everything you've got and hit on all cylinders. So if they're winning games like this now, awesome, but they haven't played their best with all of their players available yet, and that's what we're looking for.
Week 11 is on deck, a game against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Bills are about to go into a gauntlet.
Cue the dramatic music.
With a lot of great teams they're about to face, but this is maybe when we're going to see this team put it all together, and all 3 phases are firing at the same time, and you're peaking when you want to peak in November and December ahead of the playoffs in January.
Maddy,
we'll see what happens.
I know we all dream about getting to the Super Bowl, and even as a kid, and all the players on this team and all the fans, and we're all dreaming about playing in the Super Bowl and being the guy that makes them win. Yeah, but there are other games other than the Super Bowl, and of regular season games that you're all a part of and we watch. This is a big one. This is a big regular season game, and it's game week now.
And they're finally playing in Orchard Park. It feels like every single year we've been going to Kansas City to play against the Chiefs in the regular season. They get to come to our place in week 11, and I think that means a lot because our fans are going to show up and they're going to be rowdy and they're going to be loud. Head coach Sean McDermott is on the podium. Let's hear what he had to say about this win against Indianapolis.
Good team win. We'll start with the fans. A great showing again on the road. We don't take that for granted. We travel as well as anyone, and whether it was at the hotel last night or around town, you could just get the feel that there was a lot of red, white, and blue in town here, and we certainly appreciate that. Just a couple notes to get us started here. I thought that the defense and the takeaways was a big-time difference in the game, and then also getting momentum back after our turnovers with some key stops, some fourth down stops. Sam and Tyler had good days overall. I thought, especially the kick before half by Tyler, big kick for us right there to get some momentum at least going into half. And then offensively, we had some guys down here and guys stepping up. Mack Hollins, one of them. But a key play right before half, and to have the wherewithal to get out of bounds. And I thought that was huge. And that last drive that we had, up there and to go to put that drive together, I thought Josh, Khalil, James Cook was a great drive, high-level drive as an offense in that type of situation when we needed it. Taron Johnson making some big plays, obviously, with the pick six, and Austin Johnson coming up with another interception on the screen. We were able to make them one-dimensional, which was important for us. Let's see. Resilient win overall, very resilient win, and guys just keep stepping up. So time's yours.
Hey, Sean, on offense, how much of a grind was it today, minus your receivers, then Kincaid goes down? How did Josh manage that?
Yeah, I mean, I know he's got a couple throws he wants back, and those are important for him and for us. But, I mean, just all hands on deck. I mean, what else can you say? I mean, you're out Keon, you're out Amari, you're out Dalton for the majority of the game, I would say, or somewhere thereabouts. And, Joe, the staff, they didn't flinch. They just kept dialing it up, trying to adjust. I thought the communication at halftime was great by the entire staff, defensively and special teams included. So, I tip my cap to those guys, the staff, and the game plan they put together and the players executed.
The defense, just in the second half, I mean, Taylor has 5 carries for 7 yards after, being pretty successful in the first half. Just the job your crew did in the second half there.
Yeah. That's run defense is usually fundamentally based, and I thought that they did a phenomenal job, again, adjusting at halftime with some good information sharing, that was being shared from the booth, and some good communication and collaboration, which it always takes, and the players went and executed. Bobby, I thought, called a really good game, in particular in the second half, based off of what the Colts showed in the first half, and the players executed. We got a couple takeaways there as well, so that was good stuff.
Sean, Greg Rousseau, it seems like it's always been there. It would flash, but the consistency that he's arrived at this season, is he playing maybe some of the best football of his career that you've seen?
Yeah, that was a big. I think he had the sack fumble, right? So just taking advantage of opportunities, right? Players are in situations where they have opportunities to make plays, and he's making them, and as well as other players on our team making some plays. And again, Austin stands out. Q Jeff, Mack, Josh, of course, and then Khalil on that perimeter screen late in the game. That was a huge conversion right there, but just high level of execution.
Hey, Sean, you mentioned Shakir on that screen. When you're watching from the sideline, how many times do you think he's down?
I lose him. He's a little guy, so I lose him. I'm a little guy, he's a little guy, so I'm trying to see over people, and I can't see. And then I hear the crowd, I hear the Bills fans at this stadium, and they tell me that it's a first down because I know that's what we were looking at. I think it was like 3rd and 8. Third and 8 situation. So, I mean, all that goes into it to me is a great example of our team, right? The call, the execution of the call, the fundamentals, the heart and desire. to me, it's a kind of a shadow of our team right there.
Now, do you like how, I mean, everyone knows that the Chiefs are next week. I know you don't look ahead, but in some guys, they're going to think a little bit probably about that game. They're coming to Indy, it's not a prime time. You know what I mean? It's another game, but there is that game looming next week. You like the way your team kept focused.
They did. Yeah, they did a great job, led by our leadership group. They just did a great job. When they lead by example, I mean, that's the strongest way to lead, right? And there's too many in there that I can name. I'll probably leave somebody out, but just very intentional this week on the focus, because there's got a lot of young guys that we're counting on to play meaningful minutes and plays. And you guys write about, hey, this is probably, I don't pay too much attention, but Derek gives me the heads up on some things from time to time, and this is a week-to-week league, and you guys know that. You've been around for a long time.
Sean.
You might like what you read. Once in a while.
I'll do it in the off season.
Sean, the Colts had the ball near midfield right before halftime. The Colts had the ball near midfield right before halftime. They get a couple of yards on third down, line up to go for it on fourth, but decide not to, and they kick it back to you. Offensively, you guys have been so successful at picking up fourth and short. How much of a weapon is that you can stop it defensively and you feel like you can pick it up offensively?
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about the same thing, Josh, they were in a fourth down and short situation. I wanted to use the time out there to just see what they were going to do, and they decided to hard count us. I thought the discipline in that situation by our defensive line and in our group there was high level, and then, like you said, they punted back to us and were able to get the 3 points before half. So a lot of those things, it's kind of one of those things that flies under the radar sometimes. But Dennis Locke was up in the booth, and we were talking through that situation. So he's saying, hey, if they get to a fourth down, because sometimes you want to make sure they're not going for it right there. So took a little bit of a chance, but it worked out. And before I move forward, I want to congratulate the Lubick family. I don't know if you guys have heard, but Mark had to drive home this morning first thing as his wife was in the hospital giving birth here. So we're extremely grateful that last I heard, he was about a half hour out from the hospital, but he had a baby, I believe a baby boy. So blessings, and very grateful that he and his wife and the baby are doing well. So.
Named after you. Named after you, Sean McDermott Lubick.
Could name it Bill. I mean, hey, it'd be kind of fitting, right?
First quarter, you're up 10-3, and you went for it on 4th and 3, which is not 4th and 1, and you didn't get it. Why were you so aggressive that early in the game, already up? You could have gone up 10 at that point.
Just felt like, the plan we had was to be aggressive, and I've got tremendous confidence. Every situation is different, but I have tremendous confidence in Josh and our players. Looked like we had an opportunity there, and I felt like we had an opportunity on third down as well, leading into that. And so I just think every game's different, and I like the ball in Josh's hands. So they made the play. I don't regret the decision. I regret the result, naturally, but we'll see as we move forward here. But just felt like this is a team that I think their record was what it was. I can't remember what it was because it's really not important, but every loss that they had was by 8 points or less. So this is a good football team, well-coached football team. We've got a ton of respect for them.
Taron said he made a mistake earlier in the season. That cost a big play. And he thinks that the Colts believed they were going to kind of bait him into doing the same thing. And he said, but they didn't, and that was the pick six.
Yeah.
How proud of you hearing something like that Taron learned from the mistake and made him pay for it?
Yeah, well, he's one of our leaders that I was referring to earlier, Josh. And when you lead by example, again, that just everyone's going to make mistakes, but when you can learn from it and say, hey, this is quite honestly a copycat league where people try the same plays, sometimes week to week, even though it may not be in their repertoire normally. And right away, the first play was one of those plays, and he picked it.
What does it do for your team that on different weeks, different sides or different players can step up? Some weeks it's the offense. They need a play at the end. They get down the field. They kick the field goal last week. This week, the defense essentially pitches a shutout in the second half. What does that do for the psyche and the mentality of your team, knowing that maybe their side doesn't always have to be the one that seals it?
Yeah, I think they're just very competitive. They're a very competitive group. They take a lot of pride in not letting each other down. They love each other. I think that's a big piece of this. This is a team that's has a pretty strong bond. And then again, that starts with the players and the leadership group and leading by example and guys getting together when they're not in the building. And same thing with the significant others, the wives and whatnot, with the groups that they share together when the players are at the facility working. So I think Buffalo is unique in that way, and Kyle Williams taught me that years ago with and actually, when I first sat down with Jim and Thurman and those guys years ago when I first got here, how Buffalo provides an opportunity and a unique opportunity because of the community and the way it's laid out.
How do you try to make next week just one game when it's going to be the game of the week and fans are going to be going nuts about it? How do you keep your team focused that it's 1 week?
Yeah, I just think they've been able to do a good job of that to this point, and the expectations that we have for ourselves are the most important ones. We certainly understand. Everybody putting a lot into this coming game, and we will too. But we put a lot into every game. If we don't, we're doing ourselves a disservice. So we owe that every week to ourselves and to our fans to put the same amount of preparation to every week. And it's a good football team that's coming in, an undefeated football team and well coached. So we have a ton of respect for them. So we got to see if we can get a little bit healthy here and put the week of preparation in and move forward from there.
Hey Bills fans, Paramount Plus is your home to stream live local NFL and CBS games every Sunday all season long, right through the AFC Championship game. So sign up and sign into Paramount Plus today. Sean McDermott talked about kicker Tyler Bass's 47-yard field goal that led right into halftime. Bass hits that 61-yard game winner last week, and we talked about the confidence that must give you as a player. Well, he goes into this game and hits one from 47 and an extra point from 48 yards. In the last 2 weeks, Bass is 3 of 3 from field goals within 40 to 49 yards. Before those last 2 weeks, he was 2 of 5 from that distance. We're seeing him start to put it together thanks to that 61-yarder, I think, due to the confidence that he's gained.
Yeah, he does seem to have his confidence back. Hitting a 48-yard extra point,
not easy.
It's not easy. And that kick right before half was an important kick to put the Bills up by 7 at that point on a game where they had kind of fumbled around and they'd missed an opportunity, a huge opportunity in the red zone where they missed the play to Kincaid down the right sideline. It just overthrew a wide open player that was a touchdown. And they come away with no points because they went for it on the 4th down subsequently and got it knocked away. That gave them a full touchdown lead. And then, of course, they come out on the opening drive of the second half against the Colts and get a turnover right away. And it was off to the races after that. So that kick, giving them some momentum going into halftime, certainly carried through the second half defensively. And that's kind of what special teams do sometimes. They go on both sides. They give momentum to both sides of the ball. And certainly that kick was a big one.
The Bills have scored at least 30 points in the last 4 games. Now it's the longest active streak in the NFL. The Bills' defense has had a takeaway in 10 straight games. That's every game so far this season. It's also the longest active streak in the NFL. You pair these two things together, and you hope that they go into next week's game against the Kansas City Chiefs. Week 11, a huge game in Highmark Stadium.
Yeah, this is going to... I don't know. I'm kind of torn. I kind of would have liked the Denver Broncos to make the last-second field goal that got blocked and they lost the game. Kind of would have liked to have the Chiefs come in here with one loss, but I wouldn't want to face Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid after a loss. So I think for the Bills, have them come in flying high. They're 9-0 now or 8-0 on the season, and you have a shot at them in your joint. It's an absolutely enormous game of huge interest all around the NFL. The NFL on CBS is going to be here.
Yeah, their
all
pregame
those guys,
show.
James Brown, Bill Cowher, Matt Ryan, J.J. Watt, Nate Burleson, they're all going to be here in Buffalo for their hour-long show beforehand. Josh Allen and Pat Mahomes have really never disappointed us when they've met. They have been epic games, so we'll see if there's another one on the menu this week.
To the best, and we are so excited to see it next week as the gauntlet begins for Buffalo. The Chiefs, bye week, 49ers, Lions, Rams. You got a few important games coming up, and it's the right time to start putting it all together to start peaking. We want to thank you for tuning in to Bills Postgame Live presented by Paramount Plus. For Steve Tasker, I'm Maddy Glab. We'll see you all next week.